Hi everyone, welcome to another maths video. In this video, we are going to focus on the four operations, which includes multiplying and dividing by 10, 100 and 1000, and their multiples, meaning 10, 20, 30 or 100, 200, 300 and 1000, 2000 and 3000 and so on, and the order of operations, which I have here set up, and use of brackets without calculator. Alright, so the use of brackets here is basically part of the order of operations, and all these different items here we have today, we will do them before, without calculator. Alright, but we won't do the solving word problems part. Alright, word problems, basically, we will have a separate video focusing only on the word problems. Alright, so let's go through the first item here. Multiplying and dividing. Alright, multiplying and dividing by 10, hundreds or thousands. We'll start off with whole numbers first. Let's say we have 23 times 10. Alright, so it's very simple. There's only one zero here, so I'll just teach you the shortcut. So since there's one zero, what we'll do is we just add the zero. Done. Okay, so it's the same for 100. 100 have two zeros, so you copy this number down again, 23, just put two zeros there, and so on for multiplying by 1000. 23, and then put three zeros there. Alright, so it's quite straightforward. Now what if you have a division? Okay, we'll start again with whole numbers. We're not going to worry about the decimals yet for now. Alright, divide by 10. You see this is a 0 here, this is another 0. Okay, make sure the 0 is, we say is in the ones place. So what do I mean by ones place? So if you look at 10, the 0 is at the ones place, you can cancel. And 230, the 0 is at the one place, so you can cancel. So you get 23. So 230 divided by 10 is 23. Now this will be clearer what I mean by 0 at the ones place. So let's say I divide by 100. 0 is at the ones place now. I can cancel. 0 is at the ones place. I can cancel. Now we have a new number. 230 divided by 10. And you see the 10 has a 0 at the ones place. So we don't care about the previous 0. And this number is no longer 2300. It's 230. You have a 0 at ones place. You can cancel. So you get 23 also. Now, what happens if you don't have 0 at the ones place? For example, you have something like this. Okay, in fact, divide by 100 too. Okay, just because there's a 0 at the tens place, a 0 at tens place here, doesn't mean you can cancel. Okay, so this is wrong. Because the 0 must be at the ones place. And it's the same for 1000. Okay, divide by 1000. 0 at ones place, you can cancel. The 0 at the one place again. 0 at ones place again, you can cancel. So again, this is 23. Alright, so as you can see, it's quite straightforward. Alright, multiplying and dividing by 0. Now we're going to do multiplying by the multiples of 10, 100 and 1000. So let's say you have times 20. Alright, what you're going to do is you're going to break this into 2 and 10. You're going to multiply this by 2, and then you're going to multiply this by 10. Again, without calculator. If you need to do the working, go ahead, do the working. Alright, times 2 first. 6, 46, okay, and then times 10, there's only one 0, so 46 times 10, 460, and it's the same for the rest. Okay, so here again, we're gonna separate to 2 and 100. So 46, we did the multiplication, and then we add 2 zeros there, and it's the same for, the 1000. So let's cancel these, and let's put 1000 there. 2000. Again, we did, I'm not sure why I put 43 here. It's supposed to be 46. Okay, so it's 46 again, and we put the 3 zeros behind. There you go. Alright, so I hope this is clear. This part is clear. Now we're going to do the division. Okay, so the division will be the same. Okay, let's say I have divided by 20. same thing, 2 and 10. Okay, so we divide by 2 first, or you can divide by 10 first if you want to make things easier. So if we do the, okay, let's do the whole step so you guys can see clearly. We'll divide by 10 first. It doesn't matter actually, but to make things easier, we divide by 10, because dividing by 10, okay, will make the number smaller. Why I didn't want to multiply first here? Because if I multiply, it makes the number bigger or larger. We want to try to work as much as possible with smaller numbers. So if I divide by 10, it makes the number much smaller than if I divide it by 2. So here will just give me 46, because there's a 0 at one's place, another 0 at one's place. So I have 46. Now I can divide 46 by 2, which gives me 23. So this answer here is 23. Alright, so it's the same again if we have divided by 200. Okay, so this will be 2 and 100. So if we divide by 100, we can cancel the 0 here. I don't even need to do the working like this, because I can just straight away cancel the 2 zeros, and it becomes 46 divided by 2, which we have done. Okay, it's 23. And if I have 46,000 divided by 2,000, same thing. I break this into 2 and 1,000, and I just need to cancel. Make sure the zeros are at the ones place. And then I have again 46 divided by 2. Sorry, it's 23. There you go. Alright, so this is quite straightforward. Usually students don't have a problem with this part. Now, where does the problem come? Problem comes here when you have to deal with decimals. Alright, now I have 2.3 times 10. Alright, you're not sure. Do I do like 2.3 and then add another 0 behind like previously? Nope, this is not how you do it. When there's a decimal, you have to be very, very careful. Okay, we need to shift the decimal. Okay, we need to shift the decimal. This is the standard practice. Okay, most school will teach this. You shift the decimal when you divide and multiply. So how do we shift the decimal? If it's multiplication, we know that the number is going to get larger. Alright, you have to shift right or left. The confusion will come later on when you learn the division. For now, you just know that you make the number larger. So it becomes, so the decimal will go here. So by right now becomes 23, and then that's the decimal point. Okay, but you cannot have nothing after decimal. By right, you're supposed to put 0, but this number 23.0 is just 23, so you can ignore this. Alright, you can ignore that. If you have 2.3 times 100, you see there's 2 zeros. Here we shift 1 because there's 1 0. Here there's 2 zeros. We're going to shift twice. So what happens when you shift twice? It goes here, and it moves again. But then there's a space there. So it becomes 2, 3, and then there's the space. You fill it with 0, and then that's where the decimal point is. And remember, there shouldn't be anything after the decimal point. So if you put a 0, this number still is 230. So you can ignore the decimal point and the 0. Let's say you are confused, because a lot of students, they're going to get confused. They're not sure what number they're going to put here. They just put 23 sometimes. So what you can do is you can multiply this by 10 and by 10 again. Okay, if you are confused. Okay, so you do 22.3 times 10 first, which gives you 23, because you just need to shift once. Okay, and then you times 10 again. Alright, so 23 times another 10. We did this before. You just need to add a 0 because there's no decimal to work with. Alright, now let's say we have 2.3 times 1,000. Okay, same thing. We'll shift once, twice, thrice. So you see there's 2 spaces here for us to fill in. So we have 2, 3, 0, 0, and the decimal goes there. But again, we mentioned before, we do not need to write the decimal down. Okay, again, if you are confused, what you can do is you take 2.3. You see there's 3 zeros, right? So you times 10 first. Okay, and then times another 10. Times another 10. There should be 3. Okay, but notice I didn't write anything here first. So this is 2.3 times 10. You just need to shift once, so it's 23. And then you can put here 23 times 10, which is 230. And then 230 times another 10, 2,300. So it depends on how you or what you think is easier for you to work with. Now, what happens if it's something like 23.4 multiply, let's do 2.34 instead. Okay, so if you have 2.34 multiplied by 10, you see you're going to shift once. So when it shifts once, it's going to go here. So it will be 23.4. Okay, so it's quite straightforward. If you have 2.456 times 100, you shift twice. Okay, in this case it's easier because there's it's less confusing, because when you shift the decimal once, twice, there's no empty space. Like previously, when you shift, there's empty spaces. That's where students get confused. They're not sure how many zeros they have to add. That's why I introduce this. Okay, but in this case here, there's no empty spaces, so it's clear. You can see where the decimal will land and end up at. So that's the answer. Alright, now until this part here is quite clear, because you just need to move one direction to make the number larger. When we introduce divide now, let's say we have 23.4 divided by 10. Okay, now you have to remember that you have to move the other direction. The number has to become smaller, so it has to move the other direction, which is the left. Previously we moved to the right, now we're going to move to the left. Okay, when you move to the... Again, how to remember is very simple. Later I will teach you another method to remember, but for now, just remember, if you multiply, technically the number logically will get larger. Divide, the number will get smaller. So if you are confused, you see, if I divide by 10, if I move it here to this side, right side, it becomes 234. The number is larger, so I know that's not the position, or that's not the direction I'm supposed to move. So I'm supposed to move this side here. So you get 2.34. Okay, so if you have 23.4 divided by 100, okay, same thing, you move twice. There you go. So so what happens now? The decimal is there, and then 2, 3, 4. For this case, you have to write the 0. It's different from the previous one, where the decimal ends up here. Okay, ends up here. You don't need to put the 0, because the number is still 23. But remember, you cannot have a blank at the ones place. You need to put the 0 if there is a decimal behind it. Okay, again, at ones place, you cannot leave a blank. Alright. And let's say we still have the same number, 23.4, this time divided by 1,000. You're going to shift it 3 times according to the number of 0. Once, twice, thrice. Again, the blank space comes into play. So this is where students get very, very confused. They are not sure what to write again, because there's a 0 in front here, okay, which you need to put. And then there's the blank here. And then it comes 2, 3, 4. So what happens if you think this is confusing? Do it step by step. Okay, so you see there's 3 zeros, right? So you have 23.4. Since there's 3 zeros, divide by 10. Divide by 10. Divide by 10. How do you remember how many tens must you divide? You see these 3 zeros here? Okay, sorry, let's not erase that one there. Okay, so there you see, the 3 zeros are here. Same like the previous one. There's 3 zeros. So, there's the 3 zeros. Do it slowly. Okay, if you are confused, do it slowly. So, you shift once. Again, not sure which direction. Divide, the number has to become smaller. So 2.34. Okay, now you do 2.34 divided by 10. You shift it here. So it becomes 0.234. 0.234. And you see, this is simpler because there is no empty space for you to fill. Because the decimal will be here and there's a 0 beside it. You just need to make sure the ones place is not blank. Because when you shift the decimal will be there. Then it follows by 0, 2, 3, 4. And the ones place is blank. So you put a 0 there. Not a 6, sorry. A 0. So it's 0.234. Okay. So that's how you do the division. Alright. Now, what about if we multiply by the multiples of 10, hundreds and thousand? Same thing. Okay. So let's say we have 2.34 multiplied by, let's say this time 40. Alright. 4 and 10. You can do your working. Okay, again, if you multiply by the 10 or 4, it doesn't really matter, but I prefer to do this way. So I work with smaller numbers. Same multiplication, except for when we have only one extra part where we need to put, we need to add decimal. Okay, so 4 times 3 is 12, plus 1, 13, 4 times 2, 8, plus 1, 9. But don't forget the decimal. Okay, how to know where to put the decimal? You see here, there's 2 numbers after the decimal. Same. 2 numbers after the decimal. Then times 10. Alright. If you want, you can put like that. Okay. But if you don't want to put it in your actual word, actual number sentence there, you can do it separately. Doesn't matter. Okay, again, if you're confused, which way do I shift? Right or left? See, this is a multiplication. If I shift this way, it becomes a smaller number. So I have to shift the other way. So I get 93.6. Okay. The other method that a lot of us teach to remember is this. To remember this guy, Mr. DL. What does Mr. DL means? Mr. DL means multiply right. That means if you multiply, the decimal goes right. Divide left. That means when you divide, the decimal goes left. Okay, you can remember Mr. DL, or you can remember if you multiply, the number is supposed to get larger. Divide, the number is supposed to get smaller. Or you can remember both. Alright. Now, what if we have 2.34 times 400? The same thing. I'll do multiply by 4 first. And then I'll multiply by 100. So when I multiply by 4, I get 9.36. Then I will shift to space. 1, 2. You can't just write 9.36. Okay, that's one thing you have to remember. You can't do this. Okay, after you multiply by 4, you get 9.36. And then you did not write down there multiply by 100, and you just write down the answer straight away. This, okay, will be wrong, because 9.36 doesn't equal to 936. So remember to put, or to write down the 100 there. Alright, so it's the same thing again. Let's say now it's 23.4 times, this time, let's do 4,000. Okay, so it's 23.4 multiplied by 4 first. Here, we'll separate it to 4 and 1,000. So 4 times 4 is 16, 4 times 3 is 12, plus 1 is 13, 4 times 2 is 8, plus 1 is 9. And this time round, there's only one digit after the decimal, so it's 93.6. And don't forget, multiply by 1,000. So if you think you are going to forget, do not write this. Okay, you just leave it blank. Okay, do not write this down if you think you are going to forget. Do it separately. So now you have 93.6 times 1,000, you're going to shift it 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. So 1, 2, 3. So there's 2 spaces here. 93. Okay, 6 and then 2 spaces. So it's 93,600. So you have 93,600. Alright. And the division will be the same way. Alright, the division will be the same way. If I have 9, let's see what number did I use. 93.6. If let's say I have 93.6 divided by 40. Okay, again, doesn't matter which one you do first. Divide by 10, divide by 4 is the same, but what you need to know is where to put the decimal again. Where to put the decimal. Okay, divide by 4. Simple division, something that you have done before. Okay, you have 13, 4 times 3, 12. Okay, you see I did not do anything different. 4. Okay, and look here, there's only 1 digit after the decimal. Okay, but for this case, it's a bit tricky. Why is tricky? Because sometimes you need to add zeros here, sometimes you don't have a number in front. What you need to remember is to make sure when you divide, okay, you keep it in line, so you know that the decimal comes here. Alright, because sometimes you need to add a zero. When do you need to add a zero? When they ask you to leave your answer in certain decimal places, then you need to add zeros behind, and that's where it gets confusing. If I tell you, oh, 1 digit, okay, and then you put 1 digit. Okay, let's say, okay, let's give an example so it's clearer. Let's say it's 93 point. Let's see, what number should we put? Let's say 93.8, okay, divided by 40. Okay, let's say they say give your answer in 2 decimal places. Alright, so this is how we're going to do the working here. 93.8, we're going to divide by 4. Okay, okay, we are not done with this one yet. Okay, because we only divided by 4. Okay, maybe we should finish that one first. So after we divided by 4, we still need to divide by 10. So the decimal will shift 1 place. So we get 2.34. So sorry about that. I got distracted. Okay, because I wanted to show what happened if there is a decimal. If they say leave your answer in 2 decimal place. So we'll divide by 4. Same thing. Okay, minus, you get 1. Bring down the 3. 4 times 3, 12. Minus, you get 1. You bring down the 8. 4 times 4, 16. Minus, you have 2. So what happened here? If they say leave your answer in 2 decimal place, you have to put the 0 there. Bring the 0 down. Okay, and 4 times 5, 20. And for this case, it exactly is 2 decimal place. So if you align this nicely, you know the decimal goes here. Alright, it's not all the time you will have a number here or a number here. Okay, so that's why it's important to align, because sometimes here the number might be, maybe let's say they say the number here is 3. So you will have a 0 here. So it's just 3 point something or something like that. Okay, we will explore this a bit more. Okay, we are not done with multiplication and division. Okay, so in the next video we will explore a bit more on the division by multiples of 10, 100 and 1000. Alright, as I mentioned before in my other videos, I'll try to keep it at 20 minutes so that you'll have the maximum focus, okay, and attention. Alright, so if you think this video has been helpful, please do subscribe. And if you think that I should improve on certain things, okay, you let me know in the comments below. I'll try my best. as long as it's within my ability, I'll try my best to improve. Again, this is just to help everyone who feels that they need help. And if you have any other questions, you can leave it in the comment too. Okay, so until next time, thank you for watching.